Do you notice that it says fluent?
I was about to say that, Tone. Like they sound like somebody was wicked shouting you out. I was digging that. I was.
It's supposed to say chill too, and they say it says it in there, but I didn't pick it up. So
I did.
We might have to hit the old
rebroadcast button.
Yeah. Like, yo, what up? More like I'll take back that money button. We're laughing and we're joking. So I want to get like what most people would consider the sad news out of the way. And I'm struggling. I'll stop. I'll let you, obviously, the passing of Bill Walton, your thoughts, because what I'm struggling with, let's be clear, because I'm not getting choked up. That's not why I'm struggling. So let me start with you, your thoughts on Bill Walton, the man, the myth, the legend, obviously passing at a young age, 71, had a tough fight with cancer.
A lot of people, they forget that these ball players are people. And, Bill Walton was a great ball player. I mean, he's in the College Hall of Fame. He's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. He still holds the record in the NCAA championship game for the most consecutive field goals made and fewest misses. I think he went 15 for 16 in the game, something crazy like that. Won the national championship 3 times out of 4 years. And I think that's when they started letting freshmen play right after that, right around that time. His NBA career was derailed by injury. He was an advocate for equality, and not just equality, for change. He wasn't one of those people who just went with the flow of things. He if something wasn't correct, he was going to say something about it. But he just looked like a good dude to hang around. There's some people who you see, Tone, and you're not really fond of them. You can look at some guys and think, he just doesn't look like somebody that I want to hang around. Bill looked like somebody that I'd want to hang around. He just seemed like that type of dude. And like, we forget a lot of times that these guys, these ball players, they people. And Tone, people get old. In the process of them getting old, they die. And what I feel like these guys should be remembered for more is like, what type of people were these people? Right? I can separate the ball player from the person. I could do that. I don't have to be stuck on just the ball player, because I'm gonna be a man way longer than I'm gonna be a ball player. Way longer. So, how did you affect other people's lives? What type of dude were you? And Bill Walton, as the ball player, like his career got derailed by injury. He could have been a lot better. He had foot problems, but in a limited time that he played, I think he only played total, Tone. I think he only played 5. I think he played 5 or 6 full seasons total since he came out.
I think if you put all of his games together,
if you put all of them together,
full seasons. But he did not play a lot.
He didn't play that much. And in the process of him only playing like 5 or 6 seasons, I think he still finished with like 10,000 points in like 5 years and something like 6,000 rebounds. So had injuries not derailed him, he could have very well been a part of he could have played 10, 12 years and been a part of the 20,000 point, 10,000 rebound club. The majority of the guys loved him. They thought he was a great guy and a great ball player too. So the fact that he lived to be 71 years old, I mean, kudos to Bill Walton. He's around my mother's age. So
he's around your age. So here's I'll get to what I think in a second.
Yeah.
To the point about how much he played or didn't play.
Mm-hmm.
Started in 74, 75. Portland, for those that don't know, played 30.
That's when he came into the league.
That's when he came into the league. 74, 75, played 35 games. Next season plays 51, 65, 58. Misses the entire 78, 79 season. 79, 80, plays 14 games. Then misses 80, 81, 81, 82, so misses 2 seasons. That 14 games, by the way, he's gone from Portland. He's with the San Diego Clippers. No, and I'm not joking. It's the San Diego Clippers because they
moved from Buffalo to San Diego, just so you guys know.
Yeah. For those that don't know, salute to everybody. So he's still then in 82-83, still with the Clippers. He plays 33 games, then 55 games. Him and the Clippers moved to LA. He plays 67 games. He starts about half of them, playing about 24, 25 minutes a game those seasons, by the way. Then goes to Boston. That's where he plays 80 games, the most games he ever played, but he's coming off the bench playing 19 minutes. And then his final season playing, he plays 10 games for Boston, 0 starts, 11 minutes a game, and 87-88. He doesn't play again due to foot injury. All 4 of those injured seasons, by the way, were feet. And his career is over.
What's his final season, Tom? When was the last season he actually played?
Any minutes would have been 86-87.
Okay, so the 86-87 season was the last year he played actually in uniform.
In uniform, correct. With the Celtics, and I believe it was 85-86 or 86-87. 86 is that's the last one that the Celtics won, right?
They won in 86.
86, yeah. So that was the year where he played 80 games.
That's the year he won the Sixth Man of the Year.
Sixth Man of the Year, correct. And again, and that's the year Boston won.
Sure.
And so, but in those few seasons and in all those injured seasons, right? He was a 2-time All-Star, rebounding champ once, a block champ same year as a rebounding champ, 2-time NBA champ. So obviously everybody knows the one in Portland where he wins MVP, and then in Boston that we just talked about, 2-time All-NBA player, 2-time All-Defensive player, Finals MVP, as we mentioned, in 76-77 was really his year, right? That was his year where he won. He led the league in rebounds. He led the league in blocks. He led the Portland Trailblazers to a title. He won Finals MVP. Like that was 76-77. That was his year. 77-78. He wins the MVP. I always find this interesting. I've noticed this trend a lot. The player that wins the NBA title then wins an MVP the following season.
The next year.
Next year, I said this, and we'll get to it later. But I said, you watch Boston or Dallas, whoever wins the NBA title, I guarantee you, Luka or Tatum wins the MVP next year. But anyways, we'll get to that later. And so a lot, and then 85-86 six man, and again. So I don't want to tarnish anything about Bill. He's passed away for all intents and purposes. Was a great guy.
Can't tell the truth about him, though, Tom. We can't do that.
Bill Walton, the 2-time NBA champion and Naismith Basketball Hall of Famer, died today at the age of 71 following.
So I'm just talking basketball.
Can't talk the truth about him. Yes, we can, Tom. We can do that.
Just talking basketball. At UCLA, he was phenomenal. No doubt about it. Some people think the best college basketball player ever. Others say, well, it has to be top.
Can't name 5 better than him, Tom. You can't.
I can't name 5 better college basketball players?
I don't think you can name 5 college basketball players better than him. I don't think you can do it.
Okay. I know I can name 1, so I know he's not the greatest because Kareem. Right.
You know that about Jabbar.
I know that, period. Now, after that, okay, we can have a discussion. That being said, injuries are a part of the game.
Yes, they are.
And I feel a lot of what basketball only, guys. We're respecting the fact he's passed away and he was a phenomenal human being. All that, I couldn't understand anything he was saying. What he was talking about broadcast.
Sound like he had a bunch of marbles in his mouth when he talked.
He just was talking all. Who knows what he's the Grateful Dead and dude loved his life. Don't get me wrong. Loved basketball. Loved people who loved basketball. All the story. Dude, please don't take this the wrong way. He's for everyone that knew him, a wonderful, wonderful man. But injuries are a part of basketball. And strictly talking basketball, he did not play enough to be a Hall of Famer. He did not play enough to be top 75. He had, for all intensive purposes, he had 2 really good NBA seasons. And those are great and they should be celebrated. But Are we putting Derrick Rose in the Hall of Fame? I hope not. Are we putting Derrick Rose in the top 75? I hope not. Did he? If he would, like you said, you even said it. Just think about it. You can't. Some people say you can't talk the history of of basketball without talking about Bill Walton. We can't talk about Bill Walton without talking about what could have been if he was healthy.
Right.
And from a basketball only perspective, I think he might be the most overrated on-court basketball player we've ever talked about, because he is not in my top 75. He is not in my, now if it's my top 75. Who cares? It's my Hall of Fame. Who cares? Right. However, he's not for me.
Is he more of a what if for you, Tone, than he is?
He is 100% a what if. Absolutely, he's a what if. And again,
because those 2 years that you talk about, Tone, those 2 years where I believe he made the All-Pro team, made the All-League defensive team, that was it.
That was it.
That was it.
And listen, I'm not trying to poo-poo on a guy who just passed away, but let's be honest. If he didn't, we wouldn't be talking about him.
First of all, you said this when he was alive, Tone. So let's not. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, just to be clear,
when the top 75 list came out, right. I said you need some other people on it. He's one of the ones. Him, I said him, Lenny Wilkins, Bill Bradley. Like, I have my list of people who shouldn't be there.
Right.
And I'm again not waiting till he died to talk about it, because I've been saying this for years. It's just because it's come up because of his passing.
Sure.
Like, let's be honest. If he did not pass away, would we be talking about Bill Walton?
I don't think we'd be talking about him like we talk about the all-time greats. Like we wouldn't be talking about him like we talk about Jabbar. We wouldn't be talking about him like we talk about Bill Russell. We wouldn't be talking about him like we talk about Bob Pettit, guys like that. Excuse me. We wouldn't be talking about him like we talk about those guys. It seems to me, Tone, like he's more of a what if for you than he is a great basketball player. He sounds more like, what if he didn't get injured? How much better could he have been? Because he sounds like, okay, for a short period of time, he was awesome.
Yeah.
But that time period was really short.
Yeah.
Had he been able to sustain that for a little longer,
sure, 100%.
Then we could have a different conversation about it.
Yeah. And listen, I know there's gonna people in the chat are gonna be like, why I've said this for years. And what I've noticed over the last 2 days is a lot of people, right? Again, rest in peace, Bill Walton.
Yeah.
Our thoughts and prayers, condolences to his family. We 100%. But at the same time, I keep hearing people talking about him like, the great, wonderful, amazing basketball player. I'm okay with you saying the great, wonderful human being, the great, I don't want us to fall into this trap where someone passes away and now we make them better than they were.
Sure.
That's all. And like I said, and you're the one who can attest to the fact that I never ever, this is what I've been saying.
Right.
Hello. This is what I've been saying. That's all.
And I want to be clear. Okay, Tone, he was a great basketball player. He might not have been a great basketball player long enough for you. That might be the biggest problem that we're having. It's not that he wasn't awesome. And when we're talking about the all-time greats, we talk about Jabbar, we talk about Chamberlain, we talk about Russell. In terms of big guys, right? We talk about Moses. We talk about all the great big time, all the great bigs. They were awesome for a long time. Bill Walton was a fantastic ball player. The problem is
when he
right. And for a guy like you, who, and ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you guys know this, but me and Tone go back and forth about the Hall of Fame all the time. Tone thinks that one person or like two people in the history of the game should be in the Hall of Fame. Like the other 5,000 people should not be in the Hall of Fame. But anyway, I digress. It does matter. Your availability matters 100%. I won't argue that. I will not argue that. One of my staples as an all-time great is, how long were you awesome? How long can we sit down and say this guy was awesome for this period of time? When we had Shaq on and we talked about where Shaq fell in my top 10, and I had Shaq at number 10. One of the main reasons why I had him where he is because he was awesome for a decade. He could have been awesome for longer than a decade. 100% he could have been awesome for longer than a decade, but he was awesome for a decade. And that's what made him great. Sure. Bill Walton was awesome for, and when I say awesome, I mean an all-pro. He was awesome for about 5 minutes. He wasn't really awesome that long. And that's just the facts. That doesn't negate how good he is as a basketball player.
Exactly. That doesn't mean
No.
like I said, and that's my only thing is,
Right.
like I said, because I've been saying this for 10, 15 years, and again, I don't want to, like I said, he's passed away, so I don't want to do that. But I mean, like, I have people, I guess the reason it was on my mind was I have people in my DMs are like, how come you haven't posted anything about the great Bill Walton? One of the greatest centers of all time. Why aren't you? I didn't know Bill Walton.
First of all.
So I don't know why would I post about a guy I didn't know, a guy that I'm not a fan of, a guy who I think is, again, I'm not doing this, the timing sucks, don't get me, but I'm not doing this. Sorry, a guy that I didn't know, a guy that I don't think very highly of, a guy that I think is one of the most overrated players. Again, I'm only talking on the court. Why would I pay a tribute to that player? It was weird to me. And when I got that many people saying, why aren't you doing this? I'm like, because it's not. So that's why it became top of mind. But anyways, but again, a big loss for basketball, because for all intents and purposes, he was very entertaining for those that listen to him. And, obviously Portland Trailblazers fans and Boston Celtics fans. And, the guy, everyone I've talked to who knew him are like, dude, he's the nicest dude ever. And I wish I would have known him. Off the court, because I would have probably had a million great stories. Like, hey, remember me and Bill went to the Grateful Dead concert, and we had like, I probably have these great stories to share.
Yeah,
I can only talk about him on the court, and on the court. I'm sorry. So again, condolences, the great Bill Walton. But I know what's going to happen. I've already seen him slip into top 10 conversations, top 10 centers of all time.
You have not, Tone.
I have the list.
Oh my God.
I have the list, and I'm like, nah, come on. See, no, he wasn't there yesterday. If he wasn't there 2 days ago, nothing has changed in 2 days that he's there now. So that's again, it sounds really insensitive. So we should move on, but I'm not being insensitive. I'm only talking basketball. It's just like, when you talk about Karl Malone,
right?
And everybody wants to poo-poo on you because they're like, all the stuff, the off the court stuff. And we're like, I get in a lot of trouble.
Right.
I get a lot hate mail when I talk about how great of a running back O.J. Simpson was. He was.
And unfortunately, we
I'm
have
sorry
to,
his wife and her boyfriend, but he was a great running back.
We have to be able to separate the two. We have to be able to separate the two.
It's hard.
It is hard. Tone, I get roasted for the way I talk about Karl Malone. I get roasted about that. That this guy was messing with a kid, and okay, well, first and foremost, we didn't find out about this until he was still in the league, but he was in like year 17 when we found out about this.
No,
right?
I feel like it was known privately.
I'm talking about to the public. I ain't talking about. I'm talking about to everybody. Like the Dallas Mavericks knew about it when he was getting drafted. The Mavericks knew about it. I'm talking about the public. We didn't know about it until
that's why he dropped. Like, people don't realize. Yeah. I always joke. I always make fun of the Bulls because they drafted Keith Lee, and I'm like, they could have had Malone, but no one. They knew about this because there was a pending lawsuit, paternity test. Like, there was a lot. No, let's be clear too. She was a kid. Yep. He was also a kid. Yes, she was like a kitty kid. He was a kid. Yeah. Like, I think he was 18. She was 13. He was like
20.
He was 20. Okay, 20 you're getting.
Yeah. That's
can't call him a kid. That's a little too.
but with that being said, the same logic, Tone, that you say about OJ. OJ's one of the worst human beings I've ever laid my eyes on. One of the worst, if not the worst. 100%. He's one of the worst human beings I laid my eyes on. I can't, however, I can't negate the fact that he's one of 3 running backs to lead the league in rushing for 4 straight years.
My guy rushed for 2,000 yards in a 14-game season.
He's the only running back in the history of the NFL to do that. No other running back has done that.
Yeah, exactly.
Since he did it, before he did it, and since he did it, there is not a running back to run for 2,000 yards in a season in a 14-game season. No running back in the history of the league has ever done that since he did it. Now, is he a trash human? Yes. It's Karl Malone. The stuff that I know about him now, am I okay with that? Absolutely not. I can't negate the fact, Tone, that he made the All-Pro team 11 straight years.
Yeah.
11 straight years. He was first team All Pro. I can't fight that. I can't. So however I feel about him, about the other stuff, I can't take that away. So the fact that Bill Walton just looks like the type of dude that I would love to hang around.
Yes.
He just looked like the type of dude that if he's hanging out, I want to be there.
Yeah, that I agree with 100%.
That doesn't negate the fact that he played in the NBA from he had an NBA career where he played less than 500 games for his career. He played less than 500 games for his career. He had 2 elite seasons. 2. That's it. 2 elite seasons. Those are the facts. That doesn't mean that Bill Walton wasn't a great basketball player. Can I talk about him like I talk about Javon? Nope.
Nope.
Can I talk about him like I talk about Chamberlain? Nope. Can I talk about him like I talk about Russell? Can I talk about him like I talk about Shaq, Olajuwon, Jabbar? Can I talk about him like I talk about all of those guys? Moses Malone? No, I can't.
No, and I guess, like I said, and that's where I was with that, because again, had I not gotten all the why aren't you talking about this, I probably wouldn't have said anything. But I'm like, dude, I'm not talking about it because I'm not high on him as a player, and I didn't know him personally. So,
right.
So there you go. All right, the NBA playoffs this is the worst Eastern Western Conference final ever.
Ever,
Okay?
Tom?
Ever.
I don't know about ever. I think it's.
Let me ask you a question. You're a historian of the game, correct?
I'm listening.
In the history of the NBA.
The NBA started in 1947.
1947, yes, when the Toronto Huskies played the New York Knickerbockers in Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens.
In Toronto, yes, they did.
Has the Eastern and Western Conference ever both been swept into the finals?
The last time they came close, I believe it was in 2017 when the Warriors swept the Western Conference Championship and the Cavs beat the Celtics in 5 games in the East Finals. That's the closest we've come.
Has there ever been a team as bad as the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals and losing their best player for 2 out of the 4 games, and has a team like it's not even entertaining basketball. It's just it's not. Wow. The Pacers have taken on the personality of Pascal Siakam, right? We're gonna play great up until the last 2 minutes of the fourth, and then spin move, miss layup, spin move, miss layup. Go watch the tape. Go watch the tape. The worst. And unless something miraculous happens today, the Timberwolves, like that's how bad the Timberwolves are. The game's about what? The game's going to start here in about half an hour, 40. Well, it never starts on time, so it says 8:30.
About another 20 minutes or so.
Tip off will be at 9 p.m. Good job NBA not being able to start a game when you're supposed.
It says 8:30, but that's really like 8:43 or some nonsense like that.
9:12. The Timberwolves look completely lost. They look completely outcoached. And then the coach comes out and says, well, here's what we're going to do this game. We're going to put Anthony Edwards on Luka, and we're going to put Walker on Kyrie. And, oh, really? Do you want to maybe just give him your playbook too? Like, I don't understand. So I'm about to go into a game for the season. Quite literally, we lose tonight, our season is done. Now, listen, I get it. 3-0 teams are 155-0. I get it.
So 0 times, Tone, that's ever happened. No team that's up 3-0 in the East Finals has ever come back and won.
0 in any ever.
So not in the East Finals, not in the NBA Finals.
Never in the history of the NBA has a team come back from 3-0 in any way, shape, or form in any series in any round. Never. So I get it. You're done. Okay. But at the same time, you don't want to get swept. No, you don't. And so you're saying, okay, we got to do something. And they do. So they basically say, hey, we're going to go small, and here's how we're going to do it. Shut up. Shut up. We're going to come out and play our best. We're going to, try to throw a couple new wrinkles at them and see what happens. Cool. Okay, acceptable, because I get it. Reporters are asking you questions. You got to say something. I'm just here so I don't get fined. I get it.
Right.
But, dude, here's the play. Yeah. Oh, we're also going to run a whole lot of pick and roll. And what we're going to do is we're going to have Gobert setting the pick and then sliding. Like, what are you doing?
In the words of Isaiah Thomas, you're not going to give your game plan away on television, man. What are you doing? No, that's not the way this happens.
You're dead. Now, unless he's lying, unless he says, "Hey, this is what we're going to do," and then he does something completely different. Okay, maybe.
Now, Tony, I think you're underselling this Indiana Pacers Celtics series. I do. I think you're underselling it.
No,
I do. I think you're underselling it. And the reason why I think you're underselling it is because, and I asked this question earlier today, I'm watching this kid Nembhard, and it brought me back to Linsanity in 2013. The reason why I said that, Tone, is because I'm
thinking when he was taking ill-advised shots and getting stripped by Drew Holiday like he was a G leaguer.
Well, not only that, the fact of how well he was playing. All right, I'm thinking to myself, Tone, how many guys are in the league today? How many guys are in the league today that are playing behind somebody that are thinking, man, if I had that opportunity, I'm as good as that dude? Because I feel like there's a lot of Nembhards in the league. I feel like there's a lot of Jeremy Lin's in the league who, if I got an opportunity where I know for a fact I'm going to play 25, 30, 35 minutes every night, you're going to give me the ball and I'm going to get turned loose. Nembhard looks to me like an 18-8 guy. He looks like he can definitely run a crew. He looks like he'd be great in San Antonio. He looks like he'd be great up in Portland. Somewhere where they'll give him the ball.
Bench?
Somewhere they give him the ball and turn him loose. So I'm thinking to myself, how many guys are like that in the league today? And on top of that, the Indiana Pacers have a lot of grit to them. Tone, I won't argue the fact that it's been underwhelming in terms of star power. Jimmy Butler was out for the Miami Heat.
Can I just pause you for a quick second? Because I know, just pause because what have you said to me, and I'm going to steal this from you, not once, not twice, more than 3 times, when a team gets swept.
You're not close.
They're not even close.
You're not close. So
what you're telling me is the 2 teams in the Eastern and Western Conference Finals aren't even close?
You're not close. Mm-mm.
So this is the worst conference finals ever.
I don't care when you lose, Tone, whether you lose in the NBA finals or you lose in the first round of the playoffs. When you get swept out of the playoffs, you're not close to winning. You're not. And the fact that Minnesota, who I got this series completely wrong. I wasn't sort of kind of wrong with this series. I got this series all the way wrong, Tone. And the reason why I got this series wrong was because I banked on what Minnesota had done great. I looked at what Dallas was doing, and I looked at Dallas's strengths, and I felt like Minnesota can counter that with their biggest strength. And their biggest strength is their defense, particularly their perimeter defense. As good as Rudy Gobert is as a rim protector, as a roamer, as a paint presence, their perimeter defense with Mike Conley, with Anthony Edwards, with Jaden McDaniels, with Naz Reid, with Alexander Walker, with all of these guys, I felt like with Luka, who was hobbled coming into this series, and Kyrie Irving, who was underwhelming in that Oklahoma City series. I think he averaged like 16 and 6 in that series against Oklahoma City. He wasn't great. Was not great. So now you're going up against the best defense in the league, and they're going to throw a number of different coverages at you. So I'm thinking to myself, Dallas does not have the personnel. They haven't seen anything like this. I couldn't have been more wrong. How do I know that, Tone? Because they're down 3-0 right now.
Listen, at the beginning of the playoffs, I said, I'm picking Minnesota. I wanted an underdog. I picked Minnesota. I said, they're going all the way to the NBA final. And I said, and if they beat Denver, especially, the winner of that series is winning the title.
Yep.
Said it. I was wrong. I was 100% wrong. And I should have paid more attention to myself, because what did I say at the trade deadline? I said Dallas won the trade deadline.
You did say that.
How high I was on Gafford in Washington, and now I had no idea Derek Lively was going to be this lively, pun intended. I had no idea about him, but I said with Gafford in Washington, that's what this team needed. That's defense. That's rebounding. Do you know, since the trade deadline, the last 20 games of the season, do you know who was the number 1 rebounding and number 1 defensive team in the league?
Dallas.
Dallas. So, but listen, I picked Minnesota. I had to stick with Minnesota.
Sure.
Now I'm gonna stick with picking against Dallas because now I want them to win. So I'll see if the reverse psychology works.
The series is 100% over. It's just a formality. It's
I meant in the finals.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's done. Dallas is in the final.
As far as this series, this thing is it's over, and I'm so disappointed in Minnesota because this is not just an indictment on Rudy Gobert, who everybody gives all his flack to. The defensive player of the year, how could he not be able to hold up his weight? Okay, well, first and foremost, what is his best attribute? His best attribute, rebounding, rim protecting, roaming. That's his best attribute. Those are his best attributes as a big. That's number one. Number two, he's got other guys who he's responsible for, who they need to do their jobs as well. And when you have Rudy Gobert switched out 30 feet away from the basket on the league leading scorer, I don't care who you are. Tone, I do not want David Robinson 30 feet away from the basket on Kevin Johnson. I don't want that. I don't. No, I do not.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me because you know how I feel about him being the 4-time defensive player of the year. I don't like it. I never liked it. I want a defensive player of the year who at least can lock down at least their position. And I think, to your point, he's a rebounder, which is that defense. We say rebounding is defense, but is it? Because in today's NBA,
yes, it is, Tone.
There's so many in today's NBA, there's so many long rebounds because they're taking longer and longer shots that it's easier for someone to get rebounds because you're not battling down low with another 7-footer and you got to box them out. And I get it, to a certain extent it is, but I'm not going to say just because you're the best defensive rebounder, you're a great defender is my point of where I'm going.
Kevin Love's a great rebounder. That doesn't mean he was a great defender. Sure.
There you go. And then it's his weak side is help defense. That's great for team defense. He's a great team defender.
Sure.
I don't think, again, my definition of a defensive player of the year shouldn't be a guy who's a great team defender. It should be a guy who's a great defender.
And he is, Tone. He is a better. I think he's a.
Why is it that every playoffs then he's getting exposed?
Well, it's not every playoffs. That's number one. Number two. Okay, last year he was not. Not only last year, but when they played against the Clippers, that was different, right? When they played against the Clippers, he improved mightily as a defender on a perimeter. He got much better. Then the next year, I believe it was in 22. And I believe it was in 22. He was still in Utah. I don't think they made the playoffs that year. Then last year, he gets traded to Minnesota, where they end up losing, and he's going up against the best player in the game, and they said they had their toughest time against them. They said they had their toughest time against them in dogfights. This season that just passed, again, he's in the playoffs. He's going up against the best player in the game. Not only is he going up against the best player in the game, he gets switched on to the league leading scorer in the game. Now, all of a sudden, he can't guard on the perimeter. When he was guarding on the perimeter just fine when they played against Phoenix, when they had Bradley Beal, when they had Devin Booker, and when they had Kevin Durant, he was guarding on the perimeter just fine. He was closing out on the perimeter. Well, when he gets switched on to Bradley Beal or when he gets switched on to Devin Booker, he's getting cooked. And so did Anthony Davis when he was switched on to Jamal Murray.
And I agree. And I think we give all defensive teams proof this season when it became positionless. We look at like the guys who defend and block shots, and we give them all these defensive kudos and accolades. And the 4 out of the 5 all first defensive team were centers. The other one was a power forward. So I think we're all getting it wrong because he is not the best defender in the league. He's not.
And okay,
he's a great defender. He is a great defender. He's a great defender. I'm not. Please don't. Again, just because A is better than B, it doesn't mean B is terrible.
Right.
All I'm saying is when I look at, I don't think he's a top 5 defender in the league, but I don't think he's a top 3 defender in the league. And for me, that one-on-one defense, that switchability, I think is part of defense. And and again, by voter stat, the proof is in the pudding. 4 out of the 5 first all defensive team are centers. So there's clearly a bias, right? Because a center is going to get more rebounds than a point guard. So to put that as part of your defensive ranking, well, then you better weight it differently. You better say, hey, a defensive big better get 10, and that's the equivalent of, I don't know, 4 for a point guard, and 5 for a shooting guard, and 7 for a power forward. I don't know what the numbers. That's where I struggle, because he's not even doing that this series, by the way. He's not lighting up the rebounding numbers either. So I just that's my complaint with Rudy Gobert, but he's not the only problem. Anthony Edwards looks tired. He better work in his cardio this summer. He looks exhausted. Listen, anyone who has to guard Kyrie is going to be tired. But it looks like, all of those things, every time we go to crown somebody, remember I always say, whoa, give it time. I don't want to put everybody in the all-time list until they retire. Right. That's why I say it is, oh, good round. Oh, he's the greatest ever. He's the next Michael Jordan. He's in it. Right. Because now the same people are calling him a bum.
Right.
The same one who crowned him are now calling him a bum.
Which is not true. He's just not.
He's neither.
Right. Which is not true. He's just not where you want him to be. Now, 2 things, Tone, because you just mentioned about Rudy Gobert being the best defensive player in the game. That's what means, when you're the defensive player of the year. Well, I didn't think Marcus Smart was the best defensive player in the game when he won defensive player of the year.
I agree. And he's not. Yes.
Right. So that leads me to when you win the league MVP. Unfortunately, the league MVP does not go to the best player in the game all the time. But these awards, that's why they're validated, because they're attached to winning. And now,
well, Depoy, I think we did this. Remember, I don't know if you remember, we went through, and it's always the best player on the best defensive team, statistical defensive player on the best defensive team in the league. But when you've got 2-3 great defenders side by side, it makes your life a lot easier, doesn't it?
Well, they were a good defensive team before they got
good defense.
I feel like they weren't terrible as a defensive team before they got Rudy. They were right. They were above average. When they got Rudy, he made them great. And the reason why he makes them great is because, again, as a big, as a rim protector, as a roamer, which I feel like he can play defense one-on-one. I watched him play Oklahoma City, and I watched him close out on Chet, who's going to be one of the better stretch fives in the game. Not only one of the better stretch fives in the game, who can get downhill, who can put the ball on the floor. I watched him close out on him. I watched him get the ball out of the Rook's hands. And this is the same Rook who now we see another Rook having the time of his life against Rudy Gobert, which I'm having such a difficult time with this because I thought Derek Lively was going to be a project. I was convinced of that. I did not think that Derek Lively would be this good. So no question about that.
I don't think anybody thought he was. Everyone did not. Everyone I think thought what you thought, because I think I wrote the project.
Sure.
Like that's what we call him.
I thought he was going to be a project. And when you're the defensive player of the year, I understand that there's some things that come with that. And I understand the analytics and the numbers. Okay, sure. I get that part. But is he terrible? Okay, he's going up against Joker, who's the best player in the game. He held his own when they played against Phoenix, swept them. He actually held his own.
But is that him, or is that the fact that they don't have a serviceable big?
Right.
Because Anthony Davis, watch every Laker game. Anthony Davis looks great against the scrubs
until
right, and then he looks trash. And so that's why I say, like, I struggle, because especially with the centers, and guys, this isn't a knock, this is my favorite era ever. This is not a knock. There's no good centers. There's 5, 4. Like by the time you say your top 3, you're into real power forwards. Like, watch. Who are your top 5 centers?
Top 5. Well,
right now,
the 5-man position. Let's see. Who are the top 5? Like Bam is a 5.
No. Give me your top 5 in order. Who's number 1?
Who is the best 5-man in the league? Joker is the best 5-man.
Yeah, for sure.
Joker is the best 5-man in the league. And then after him is Anthony Davis.
He's a power forward.
Okay. And after him, it's Bam.
He's a power forward.
Then after him, let's see. Who else?
Probably Embiid.
Oh, damn. How can I forget Embiid? I'm sorry. So
he's a center.
I'm sorry. Joker, Embiid, Anthony Davis, Bam. Then it gets tricky, like Sabonis.
That's my point right there.
Yeah,
So
Sengun, guys like that. Then it starts to get tricky. Guys like that.
When 25 out of the 30 teams don't have a legit center,
yeah,
and then a great, like when we talk about great, there's legit great center. There's 3.
right.
And then there's a couple of power forwards playing center that play it great, right? So the other 25. So yeah. So when 25 out of 30, I don't know what the math is 75%, 65%. I don't know what that is. 75% of the time you're playing against a team that doesn't have a great center. Yeah, you're going to look really good defensively. You're going to look really good defensively when the center on the other side is 6'8", 6'9".
Well, but what I can't do, Tom,
Davis, give me a great performance by Anthony Davis against a great center this year.
Did he get busy? He got
first team all defensive.
Yes, he is. He got busy against Embiid when they went to he got busy against Brook Lopez. I mean, is it. Brook Lopez is an all-league defender, Tom. Brook Lopez is an all-league defender.
No, but he's on D. What is he offensively?
He's a stretch 5.
Now,
not only him.
Himself.
Not only him. He got busy against Bam. And we talk about great centers. He got busy against Sengun. Well, I think Sengun's a 4 also. But
he's also young.
He plays the 5. He doesn't get busy against Sabonis. He got busy against a great center, man. He didn't get busy. Mitchell Robinson is not a great center, and he got busy against him.
And that was my point is, yes, when it's lesser, he's phenomenal. Like he looks like the best defender in the league. When it's equivalent or better than, and maybe that's everybody. I don't know. Right. But that's why I say I think we're, again, all of this to say, I think we're giving way too much love to the center position because, to your point, they're looking at rebounds, they're looking at blocks, they're looking at those types of things when, a lot of that can be schemed. A lot of the time it's the perimeter, driving the guy to his left baseline and he comes over weak side and gets a block or whatever. We're shooting a bunch of threes and okay, there's my rebound. So the game is just, thank you, Leo. The game has just evolved into a place where I think it is so, okay. Ooh, they might take away my old head card with what I'm about to say. It has become so hard, next to impossible, to guard on the perimeter because, one, the skill and talent of the perimeter players has never been higher. 2, the rules, you're not allowed to touch them, right? Here are the balloons again. 2, you're not allowed to touch them. Right. Okay. 3, they're shooting from all over the damn place. Right. So I can't touch them. Right. They can shoot if I step back to give them a little bit of space so that I can play them because they get an extra step. They get to carry the ball. There's so many. It's next to impossible to guard on the perimeter. So if I've got a guy who's in front of me, and as a defender, he is faster, a great shooter, can carry the ball, and he's got great handle too. So it's not like he's just can carry the ball, all of a sudden you're a great ball handler. You're a great ball handler, and now you can do more with it. And you get an extra step, and no hand checking, and I'm going to get cooked. So I would say any perimeter player that even plays good defense should be raised up versus a guy who can now weak side block, rebound, weak side block.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Tom, but keep going.
Yeah, so again, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying if they're like this, I'm giving it to the perimeter guy because they've got it. Not to say the centers have it easy. They don't, because now they got to switch out and pick and rolls and against all those same guys. I get it. I just think the perimeter player has it so much tougher that when it's like baseball, tie goes to the runner. I think in today's era, tie should go to the perimeter player, whereas back in the day, deservedly so, a tie went to the center.
Now, with that being said, Tone, everything that you just said about the perimeter player, well, one, I have more. I have a larger margin of error, and the reason why I have a lot of margin for error is because exactly what you just got finished talking about. I got this big guy behind me to clean up my mess. Nobody's behind me to clean up my mess. When I get the ball on the block and I'm standing behind Joker, it's just me and him and the rim. And if I lose this matchup, it's just me and him. I got to wait for the double team. If the double team's late, I'm going to get cooked. If it's just me and him one-on-one, where they're clearing out the whole left side of the floor, I'm gonna get cooked. When you're on the perimeter, Tone, me in the post at 6'10", 6'11" at the rim, I get to clean up your messes.
But you're not at the rim anymore. You're not at the rim anymore. That's the difference, because 3 seconds you're going to be outside of the key. Look, go watch every offensive set. It's like 5 wide. The key is wide open. And what's happening is they're driving the player to one side or the other, and the center, who's that defensive person, is coming over from the weak side, and is attempting to clean up the mess. And when he does it, great, they give him the thumbs up. When he doesn't, they go, well, what was he supposed to do? He was all the way on the other side, and he had to come over.
Here's the difference, though, Tone. I'm not okay. It's not 1988 where I'm standing underneath the basket with my hands up. No, I'm not doing that. Which means that I got to cover more ground. So in addition to me having to cover in the mid post, in addition to me having to cover in the mid range, having to close out at the long ball line, I also got to protect the rim too. I also have to rebound too. I got to clean up your mess too. You don't have to clean up my mess, because I got Sengun standing in front of me, who Sengun wants to cook me. I watched Rudy go. I watched Joel Embiid put 70 on Wemby. 70. Okay. So and it's just him and Wemby. It's not like Wemby is getting and again, Wemby, I think, is going to be one of the best defenders in the game. I watched Paul George put Evan Mobley in a blender. And you know how I feel about Evan Mobley. I think Wemby and Evan Mobley are going to be the class of the front court defenders in the game. When you're talking about being on the block, when you're talking about being at the rim, I don't have any other cushion. It's just you and me down there. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not 1988, Tone. I accept the fact that I'm not just standing under the basket like a 7-footer who can touch the rim and just guarding the rim. No, I have way more ground to cover. I have more responsibilities, because the game has actually expanded. And with the game expanding, now in addition to me having to clean up your messes, I got to clean up mine too, plus rebound, plus rim protect, plus man the paint, and thwart those guys who are blowing your doors off. I got to get them away from the paint too, in addition to dealing with my matchups. So when you're talking about being a legit big, and you're talking about your responsibilities, I am not going to take away from what you have to do on the perimeter, Tone. I will not argue that, because when you got a guy like Devin Booker, or you got a guy like Kyrie Irving standing in front of you, I'm losing sleep trying to figure out how the hell I'm gonna slow him down. I'm up till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Because of the rules, you can't win, because you go up too close, they're going to blow by you, like you said.
Right.
If you give them a step, they're just going to shoot it. They're just going to shoot it.
Right. So I'm losing sleep trying to figure out how the hell I'm gonna slow down Anthony Edwards. What the hell am I gonna do against him? How am I gonna slow this guy down? But in the process of
me, can play defense, because apparently
that's the only way, right? That's the only way, Tone. But I know that I feel more confident when I got a big guy behind me, because I know that he's gonna help clean up my mess. Yeah. I know that.
What you keep rolling up your shirt? You trying to show off your guns? What's going on?
I am not. I'm trying to fix my damn shirt, and it's not working.
It's that low quality PC gear. I'll send you a Fluent and Chill and some good stuff. Actually, here, you can have mine if you want. I'll send it.
I'm still waiting on my cappuccino. Actually,
I know that I told you the kids are buying it for you when we come down there. They want to deliver it to you.
Oh, that's right. You did tell me that. Yes, my niece and my nephew are actually bringing me a cappuccino machine. That's right.
Yeah, if I were to ever order it and send it, they'd kill me.
Yeah, you did tell me.
Although we're looking for a trip in July. Maybe we'll do a little Miami trip. Maybe we'll do a little Miami trip. It's nice and hot in July. I like it hot. I want it I was trying to tell them, let's go to Arizona. It's like 120. They're like, no. I was like, yeah.
No.
No, you guys don't remember back in the day, I used to be all suited up in 120 degrees in Arizona. So I'm used to it now. It's good.
I've been to Phoenix in the summertime. It's not nice.
I love it.
I'm a fan of Tone. I live in Florida. It's obvious I'm a fan of warm weather. So that's not a question. But that's a different type of heat down there. Different type.
You know what's funny? When I first moved there, so I moved there in October, and I want to say it was October 16th.
October of
2002. I want to say maybe. Okay. And I was in my backyard. I went for a swim, and my neighbor I saw someone, I didn't know at the time. I saw someone sticking their head over the fence, and I'm like, what's like some creepy dude is like watching me swim. I'm like, yo,
What's going on?
like, are you swimming? I'm like, yeah. He's like, it's October, and I'm like, yeah, it's hotter than a Toronto summer. Like,
What are you talking about?
I just moved here. I am damn well swimming right through to Christmas if I can.
Mhm.
And he's like, you're crazy. And I'm like, I go, listen, you want to come over for a beer or not? And he's like, oh yeah, man. He came over. I had a keg in the bags. We had a couple beers. You know, his family came over. We had, whatever. And I laughed because that first October I was swimming. They were calling me nuts. The next October, I was with him, wearing long pants and like a light sweater in October, going, it's chilly.
Not as warm as what it was when you first came down here, huh, Tom?
Yeah, your blood thins out. And so it's interesting because how the dynamic changed from it was so I just got very used to it. It was great. Where do you want to go next? We could talk about our finals preview because let's be honest, that's done. Do you want to talk about how bad the Pacers series was? I don't know. We kind of already touched on that a little bit.
Well,
Boston's back-to-back, sorry, not back-to-back, second trip to the finals in 3 years.
Yes, I'd like to discuss that.
Okay.
Yes, I definitely like to discuss that.
All right, let's go to the East and do that, and then let's come back and talk about Kyrie Irving.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm down to do that too.
All right, so Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe, as of yesterday, people were still talking about what are they going to do about Tatum and Brown? This team's going to the NBA final for the second time in 3 years, and they're trying to figure out what to do with Tatum and Brown. Huh?
This is the fifth trip to the East Finals in 7 years for Jason Tatum. Fifth trip, second trip to the NBA Finals in 3 years. But I don't really know if they play well together. I'm not really sure if they are the kind of dynamic that you would want. When in reality, if you were to break these two up, you're getting fired. You are getting fired as a GM. 100% you are. Because if you look at this team, you put the right pieces around them, like Drew Holiday, who's a better version of Marcus Smart. When you put KP around him, who now you're taking away some of the defense that you got from Robert Williams, but you're supplementing that with offense, but you're still getting some of that defense back. It's not like you're getting rid of all the defense because KP will defend. He will protect the rim. He will rebound. He doesn't do it like Robert Williams, sure. He doesn't defend on the perimeter like Robert Williams does, but you do get some of that defense. In addition to that, you're getting a better offensive player. And when you put that around Jason Tatum, in addition to a utility guy in Derek White, who basically does everything. Whenever we're lacking in something, we need a big rebound? I got it. We need a bucket? I'll get us going. We need somebody on the ball? I'll take care of that. When you have that and you have your core and these two young guys, it's pretty difficult to get off that. Now, don't get me wrong, Tone. I understand that this is a money game. You already paid one of your guys, right? You already paid one of your guys a lot of money, and the other guy after next year, he's up. So you got to figure out what you're going to do with him because he's up for a contract extension after next year. So we got to figure out what we're doing with him. And on top of figuring out what we're going to do with him, you already extended KP, you already extended Drew Holiday, you already extended Pritchard, you already extended Jaylen Brown. So Jason Tatum, who comes up after next year, it looks like this team's going to be together for a while. So because of that, this is your second year in the finals in 3 years. I think Miami is the only team of this decade that's been to the NBA Finals more than once. And with that being said, we can't just keep getting there, Tone. We can't. We have to win it. We cannot just the idea of them consistently being in the East Finals. We're not turning into the Buffalo Bills. I'm not trying to hear that, Tone. No, I'm not. I'm not trying to hear that at all. This series coming up in the NBA Finals it doesn't have to be an epic series like something all-time great, but I can't see the same guy from Jason Tatum that I saw 2 years ago in the finals. Just like when I saw Kevin Durant in the NBA Finals in 2017, that wasn't the same dude I saw in 2012. That was a different guy. Just like the guy that I saw in 2013 in the NBA Finals. That's not the same guy that I saw in 2011 in the NBA Finals in the Miami Heat with LeBron James. I saw a different guy. And I can't see the same guy in the NBA Finals this year in Jason Tatum that I saw 2 years ago. I can't see that. I have to see a different guy. And that's going to be the difference in them winning and losing this series. Because if you look at what they did against Indiana, it was almost like Indiana, they knew that they were going to be there in the end. They're going to let us in it. We're going to hang around, and they're going to do something because a lot of these guys aren't familiar. Nembhard, Shepard, Siakam's the only guy, but Neesmith. Neesmith is one of the guys who couldn't get off the bench in Boston, which I think they made a mistake with him too also, but that's neither here nor there. They felt it seemed to me like they felt like as long as we just keep it close, they'll fold at the end. And they did.
They did.
Every game. Indiana wants the game out of control. They want the game 125, 120. They want the game 118 to 112. They want the game out of control, which is why you saw 3-4 possessions where nobody could make a shot, where the game got a little helter-skelter, where Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown or Siakam, like you said, spin move, and we can't make a shot. And we have 3-4 minutes where we can't get anything. That's Indiana's plan to try to tire you out because they're going to keep playing that way. They're going to keep playing that way up until Boston, now with Drew Holiday being the leader that he is, slows the game down, gets his guys in position, starts running action for Jason Tatum, starts running action for Jaylen Brown, and starts to get those guys in spaces where they can be effective, slowing the game down. And then it works. I think that they can do that. I feel like they can do that going into that series against Dallas. And I think one of the main things is hunting Luka consistently. There's one thing, Tone, to go after Luka once, twice, or a couple of times. To continuously keep the pressure on him to defend, I think that's something completely different. And I think that's something that the Celtics can do.
I don't think you're going to see a different Jason Tatum. I mean, since you said that, that's the part that I've been sticking to and waiting for, because I don't think you're going to see a Jason Tatum because I've come to the conclusion myself that this is Jason Tatum. You keep saying, you know, he's gonna, I'm waiting, the next step. I don't think there is a next step. I think he's hit his ceiling, and that's okay. He's a phenomenal player. He's a top 10 player in the league. He's going to be in MVP conversations. I don't think he's going to win, but he's in the conversations. I don't think there's another step for him. And I'm going to get to Jaylen Brown in a second. So I think that's what we're going to see. I'm very concerned because we could see a scenario. I'm not concerned. It's good for Boston, where the Celtics beat the Mavericks in the finals, and Jaylen Brown is your finals MVP.
Finals MVP, sure.
Because although he's not the offensive player Jason Tatum is, I think he's a better defensive player. I think everyone agrees with that. He's a better defensive player, and if that is the side of the ball that typically will win championships, that's what we keep saying, and he's even close offensively. Like, he just won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, so it's not like it's crazy to think he could win the Finals.
Larry Bird Trophy.
That's nice.
The Larry Bird Trophy.
The Larry Bird Trophy. There you go. Would it be the? So you're trying to get the LOB. He's trying to get the LB.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up, Tone, because the idea of
what does that do for his status as your guy?
Right. I'm glad you brought that up, Tone, because one, when I think about stuff like the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, right, and the Finals MVP, I don't remember, and I've been around for a little while, so I remember when Magic, and Jabbar, and James Worthy. I remember that 86-87 Laker team. That was awesome. I remember that was considered the best Laker team that they ever had. That's considering when they had Chamberlain in 72, when they won 69 games. And nobody talks about the fact that James Worthy led the playoffs in scoring that year. Nobody said that James Worthy was better than Magic. Nobody. James Worthy, the next year when they're in the finals against the Detroit Pistons, he wins the Finals MVP. Nobody said that James Worthy was better than Magic. Nobody said that. And that was never a topic of conversation. So the fact that Jason Tatum, who is the All-Pro, the fact that Jason Tatum is the All-Star Game MVP, the fact that he's the also Eastern Conference Championship Finals MVP, because he's done that too, by the way. The fact that he's done that and playing better, which I do think that he's going to play better. Tone, I think the divide between you and me is I don't think that there has to be more buckets. But if it's going to be 27, 28 a game, it's got to look different. It can't be 16 in the first half and I don't know, 8 in the third quarter and 2 in the fourth quarter. It can't look like that. No, it can't. It's got to look impactful. It has to look like it's meaning something and we're going somewhere, right? It has to look like it means something and it's going somewhere, as opposed to we see you with your head down. We see you not involved in the game. We see you basically standing off to the side, letting everybody else or letting somebody else get involved and do other things. We can't see that because, again, we're in the NBA championship, and that was you 2 years ago. You are not that guy anymore. You're a different player than you were in the 10th grade, than you are in the 12th grade. I can't see you the same player that you were as a sophomore in college, as a senior in college. You can't be the same guy. And I understand your logic, Tone, that we're in a space where, especially me, I always felt like by year 5, this is probably who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is probably, once we get to year 5 and you look at this guy's numbers, like this is probably who this guy is. You're going to get some better seasons. But that 24, that 26, it's got to look different. Because Jordan in year 5, he was 33 a game, 32 a game. Jordan in 1991, when they went to the NBA championship, he was 31 a game. But that 31 looked different than it did in 1988. It didn't look the same as it did in 1990. It looked different in 1991. And I feel like that's the idea with Jason Tatum. It has to look different. And it has to be more impactful than it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's not how much you score,
right,
as much as when you score. And listen, he's going to have to play well, maybe not that his defense is bad. But he's going to have to be at least a defensive factor, because while I assume Drew Holiday is going to get the majority of the minutes against Kyrie, and Brown will get the majority of the minutes against Luka, Tatum's going to have to play those guys at some point. And like I said, I really think I think that Dallas is just on this run, and I think he's going to have to step it up, because I think they're looking at more than just how much you score. And he falls in love. Like, just think about it. Who hits the big 3 to send it into overtime? It's Jaylen Brown. It's Jaylen Brown, right? Those are those moments that we remember. Like, here's a great question that kind of answers what I'm saying. So, how did Magic get Finals MVP over Kareem as a rookie? Kareem only missed Game 7. Excellent. Well, Game 6, yeah. I knew that's what he meant. What was the most memorable part of that series?
The most memorable part of that series was Magic coming out in Game 6, starting at the 5 spot.
Taking the jump, going 42 and 15, right?
7, yes.
They're not going to 42, 15 and 7.
Yes.
But it's not like he played bad the rest of the series, but clearly had Kareem play Game 6 and they win, right, he's the guy. He wins the MVP, but it's that last that thing that you remember. So although
hello, dear.
Love you.
Hello, dear.
He said hello. Uncle said hello.
Oh, hello, Uncle.
Hello, dear.
She can't hear you because I'm in my headphones. So even though, what was I saying? Sorry.
You were talking about Magic playing Game 6.
Even if you just look at the series, you're like, well, Kareem was the best player of that series, period. You remember that lasting moment. So those are the moments that I think if Tatum, and again, I'm not saying this is right, I'm just saying this is how it is, right, is that if people remember those moments, if he's the one who's making the big stop or hitting the big three or whatever, it's going to go to him, right or wrong, because I don't think he's going to make more defensive plays than people forget the steal that was Drew Holiday.
It sounds to me like, Tone, you're telling me that he can't just be there.
He can't just be there. He can't just score.
Right. It's got to be something else.
We know he's going to score. It's like, oh, how have you, right? What is the big knock against everybody on Minnesota? All of their numbers are down from the regular season, from the last series, from the whatever. They're kind of shrinking when it matters most. And for Ant, as an example, I think he's averaging the same amount of points. Well, that's considered worse. It really is. It's considered worse, right? Because you need to get better. So if Tatum just does what Tatum does, great. But I think he might suffer the Steph Curry effect. He's just there doing what he does, but KD was there and he did what he does, but right,
more, sure.
That's where I think we're gonna run into it a little bit, and no one's ever gonna say he's a better player,
right?
Just like you said about Magic, no one's ever gonna say Worthy was a better player. No. But watch that series. I remember now. Granted, Magic's my favorite player all time. Worthy's number 3, so for me, it's great both ways. And Worthy's my favorite college player of all time. Mm-hmm. So love it, but I remember more of those things that he was doing, and it's that's where I think he might. And the narratives again, whether it's deserved or not. If they win an NBA final, Jaylen Brown is the Finals MVP.
It's going to be something completely different. It is. I'm going to have to listen to that
all summer. You're going to hear it a lot.
I'm going to have to listen to that all summer. He's better than him. They should be running the offense through him. In fact, maybe we should look to trade Jaylen Brown. Maybe we should look to trade Jason Tatum.
Well, listen, we already got one $350 million man.
Yes, maybe we should look. That's the logic that I'm going to have to listen to if that happens. Now, it's not that.
Oh no, sorry.
No. And it's not that I don't want to see that, because I want to see them win. Because I feel like with him playing well, I feel like we can dead a lot of narratives. But I think some of the stuff, I think we can get to the bottom of a lot of things, Tone. But one of the things that I don't want to listen to is, he carried again. This is why he's better. And like, wait a minute, that's just not true. That's not going on. That's number one. Number two, they aren't going that far without both of these guys. Now, the other guy in Tatum is clear. The other guy in Tatum is more talented. Is more talented. Sure.
100%. He's more talented. He's the better player.
I think he's a better player.
I don't think that's a question.
Right.
I hope it's not a question, but maybe.
Well, it is. And it will be. It will be if something like this ends up happening. Now, what I want to say, Tone, is I want to get to the bottom of who he is. And I feel like Jason Tatum has an opportunity these NBA finals to set the record straight, because you don't get an opportunity to get back to the NBA finals on the regular.
No.
We may never get back again, just so we clear. This trip right here, where we're going to the NBA finals this year, we may never get back again. So we have to take advantage of this right now. And what's the last thing you want people to remember? Well, the one thing that they remember right now, was when you played in 2022, you were garbage. You in particular, you were not very good. So what's the lasting memory if you never get back again? What do you want them to say about you if you never get back again? Well, the second time I got back, I got busy, and we won the NBA championship.
Hey, listen, your guy, your guy in 07 didn't play well. No, regardless of what anybody says, there's excuses. His age, his this, his that. Dude, he didn't play well. The dude shot horribly from the field. He shot like 20% from 3, 60-something% from the free throw line, 10 turnovers a game. Like not 10 a game, but 4 a game, whatever it was. Like more turnovers than the rest of the team combined. He didn't play well. Comes back in 11. Doesn't play well. So now listen to this. If he never makes it back, to your point, we remember. That's what we would remember. Now,
that's what we remember.
Luckily for him, he comes back and is the best we've ever seen. The next 2 in a row, 3 in a row. Actually, maybe even maybe even the next 6 in a row.
Right.
And he makes up for it. But
Right.
but you don't know that you're ever going to make it back.
Don't.
Because now listen, I think it's the East. I think they will be back again, but let's stick to this. So that's why I would say is you're right. I just think he's a great player, but I think this is who he is. I'm not expecting a next step, but he's phenomenal. I think we should give him credit for that. I feel like we're all holding him to this really high standard of what we expect him to be, and we might be missing out on appreciating him for who he is. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And that's too bad too, Tone, because when you don't do that, you kind of miss out on what exactly he is. The fact that, okay, I understand how important winning is. I do. I understand how important winning is, and I understand that we can't just keep getting here. But I mean, there is a process. There are steps to that. And when you don't appreciate how good a guy is, getting to that point, I think you miss out on the development of that guy. Jason Tatum is not the same player today that he was in 2020. He is not the same player that he was in 2021. He's a different player. He's not the same player that he was in 2022. And with that being said, I have to see a different player in these NBA finals. I have to.
Okay. Now there's a team on the other side that's going to try and do their best. To not let that happen. And listen, as much as I'm picking Boston, I'm going to be rooting for Dallas so hard because I just don't want the Celtics to surpass the Lakers with most titles. That being said, biased aside, we know what Luka's going to do. One leg, no leg, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think we know who Luka is, and Luka's going to get it done. The X factor for me has been all season. Again, I'm saying it I'll circle back to the beginning of the show with, obviously with the Gafford and Washington pickups. I was like, dude, this team's completely different. But my biggest thing at the beginning of the year when I said they're not going anywhere, why I picked the Buffalo Braves to beat them in the first round, why I picked. I
told you were crazy, and then you said Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City in the second round. It was all because Kyrie. I don't know what I'm going to get. Since 2016, I haven't seen a Kyrie that I can depend on. Have you?
He hasn't. Up until this point, he has not been as good as he's been in the past. Up until this point, he has not been. He's been bad. I'm sorry. Up until this point, in the past 7 years, after they won the NBA championship in 2016. And in 2017, when he was really good in the NBA Finals, that's probably the last time he's been awesome. We've seen underperformances. We've seen injuries that have happened with Kyrie Irving. So he looks calmer. He looks in a different space, which Tone being a shooter, if your mental is in a different place, especially from a confidence standpoint, how much better are you going to be as a shooter as opposed to if you're somewhere else mentally and you don't really shoot the basketball as well, because confidence is something different. Kyrie Irving just seems a little more confident today than he did 2 years ago. He seems calmer than he did 2 years ago. He just seems in a different space. His game hasn't changed. He's still super nice with the pill. He's still one of the best finishers in the league. He still has one of the best mid-range games that I've seen. He's still one of the best scorers that I've seen. But mentally, he just looks like he's more in a great place. And when you're in that kind of place, that your confidence level just goes through the roof.
I think people forget. Every person, and specifically, I'm going to talk to the men. Every man matures at a different time. Some never do. Some it's at 5, 10 years old. Others is at 50, 60. I think as a basketball player, Kyrie's obviously has always had the skill and the talent to be one of the best in the league. But I think some other things were more important to him, and that's okay. That's not a knock on him. Basketball doesn't have to be your life. It doesn't have to be your number one passion. Even to be a great player, it doesn't have to be. And I know a lot of people knock him for that. I know a lot of people last year when Jokic won and he's like, I just want to get back to horses. Like everyone knocked him for that. It's okay. But I think as a basketball player, he has really matured, and where I see the maturity, and I'm going to give you two examples. One is the guys that they're playing. When they beat Denver, they acted like they won the chip already. And I think that's why they're getting swept this round, because they bounced around and jumped around. And, and I'm going to throw Mrs. Fluent a little love here, because we were watching it. And as Anthony Edwards, was high-fiving and talking his smack and whatever, she looked at me and she went, "Job finished?"
She didn't like it.
Job's not finished. She gave me the Kobe. She gave me the Kobe. She said, "Job finished?"
She didn't like it at all.
and she called it. She said, now Luka's her guy. She goes, "You watch Dallas, you watch what's going to happen." And I'm like, hell no. The other part is, listen to him talk. It's a completely different conversation, pre-game, post-game, whenever you hear him, right? Like Luka says, "Oh, man, I'm really tired." And he's like, "Yeah, you should be. That means you're playing. That means you're doing your job," right? Like he's at this maturity level. He's really become a leader, a veteran leader that I guarantee you, a year, 2 years ago, no one would have taken a bet if I said, you watch in a year, Kyrie's going to be a leader, like a veteran leader on a team. They've been like, "You're nuts."
I would have thought that too, Tom.
I would have thought that too.
This is the same guy who apologized to James because he realized how difficult this leadership thing is. You know what? It's a lot harder than what I thought, and I apologize for being as difficult as I was, my man, because this thing is a lot harder than what I thought it was. A lot harder.
So I think you hit all of his game points, right? Finisher, can handle, can make big shots.
Yeah.
Luka can make. You have a team that is great. I'm going to say it. Great defensively. Luka Doncic, who's never going to win a Defensive Player of the Year award,
never,
is putting in effort. And I've said this a million times, and I'm going to say it a million times more. Defense is two things. One, which everyone doesn't even understand, is skill. You can develop defensive skills, right? Positioning, footwork, your hands, all that kind of stuff. And two, effort.
The most important thing.
You can have zero defensive skill, but if you give effort, you're going to be ahead of the game, because you got guys who have skill who give no effort. Well, forget it. You have guys who have no skill and give no effort. Well, forget it. The effort is more important. Like, it's weighted, right? Hello, Sue, how are you?
Good.
Excellent. You have guys who have no skill. So if you have even no skill but give effort,
right?
Hey, at least you're standing in front of your man. You're making it difficult. Let's be honest. And I give you another example. I'm a big I love my examples.
Sure.
When Ben Simmons practices, how many threes does he miss?
Probably none.
None.
Probably none.
Defender in front of him, for whatever reason, he can't do it.
Right.
And I know it sounds crazy, but if you're just in front of your man, hands up, ready to play defense, moving your feet it makes the game harder. And so Luka's effort, their defensive team, their rebounding team now, him and Kyrie making shots, doing things. This team is poised, man. They're ready to go. What about Kyrie returning to Boston in game 1 of the finals? They are not going to applaud him.
No, he's not. He is not welcome back in Boston. No, he is not. No.
This could be.
And to your point, Tone, I could teach you footwork. I could teach you positioning. I can teach you communication. I can teach you lingo. At the end of all of that, drop your ass, get your hands moving, get your feet busy.
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell. That's the effort. Drop your ass, get your feet moving, get your hands busy. That's what it is. I can teach you how to get to it. I can teach you how to deny the basketball. Yes. I can teach you positioning, ball you man. I can teach you how to get around screens. At the end, drop your ass, get your feet moving, get your hands busy. That's effort. In the end, come on, you can do it. Yes, you can. And the fact that, and I'm on record saying this, that the Dallas Mavericks will never win the NBA championship until Luka commits on the defensive end. Am I asking Luka to be Drew Holiday? Am I asking Luka to be Marcus Smart? I am not, Tone. Am I asking him to be Sidney Moncrief? I am not. Because I accept the fact that there are guys who are just not that. I understand that not everybody is Mo Cheeks. I understand that not everybody is Bobby Jones. Not everybody is LeBron James or Kawhi Leonard on the defensive end. And I accept that. What I don't accept is I don't accept this Olay defense and us getting back to the basketball. That I don't accept. And if you're gonna win, you have to commit on the defensive side of the basketball. Steph Curry proved that. Steph Curry has proven that over the course of his career. Steph Curry is not a great defender, but Steph Curry will put the effort in. Yes, he will. And I saw that not just in 2014, 2015, not just in 16, 17 when he got Kevin Durant. It was more evident to me in the 2021-22 season when they played against the Dallas Mavericks, specifically when they were hunting Steph Curry, and he was doing everything he could to get around screens, to stay ball you man, to stick to the principles, and give the effort that was necessary in order for them to win. And until Luka does that, which he has been giving that tone, he has been actually giving that effort. Until he does that consistently, the Dallas Mavericks are not going to win the NBA championship.
Where do you want to go next? Because I do want to talk a little something that I wanted to talk to you about this 2 weeks ago, and we never had a chance to talk about it. It's a little WNBA. Do you want to save that to the end? Is there anything else you wanted to NBA before we do that? Because we're also going to open up the lines and bring people in to speak their minds, so that they can all agree that this is the worst conference finals in NBA history.
There was something that I did. I think we talked about overstating Anthony Edwards. I think we talked about that.
We did. We talked.
I felt like we talked about overstating.
Too much too soon.
I feel like we talked about overstating them. I don't think that we talked enough about how important Cat has been to this series and why the Minnesota Timberwolves are in the hole that they're in. It's largely due to Cat's inability, and on top of that,
because prior to this series, we were praising Cat.
Yes, we were. As a defensive player, not just as a defensive player, but also as an offensive player. He was great, right? He was great. But the fact that this guy has now come into this series, and the thing that he does, one of the things he does the best, he's been I think he's shot the lowest 3-point percentage in NBA history in the playoffs, Tone.
But didn't he say he's the greatest shooting big man ever?
Numero uno. That's me. That was him. He said that. Numero uno. And with that being said, he has to play better. Right? He's got to play better. If I told you, take PJ Washington, who you know now, right? PJ Washington, you know now. Right. Remember PJ Washington, who was in Charlotte? Put him up against Cat. Cat should win that matchup. Not only should Cat win that matchup, Tony, I vividly remember earlier this season, didn't Cat put 60 on him? 62 he put on him in Charlotte. Mm-hmm. So I know that Cat is capable of winning matchups. In this matchup between him and PJ Washington, he should win that matchup, but he hasn't. And the reason why he hasn't is because he doesn't go to his strengths. Not only does he not go to his strength, he's also not able to make his way with PJ Washington. He's not able to move him on the block. He hasn't faced him up and been able to get past him. He's settling for shots that he shouldn't settle for, and that's throwing off their offense. Minnesota's offense has always been, even this season, Minnesota's offense has always been in question. It hasn't been their action, Tone. What it's been their conversion. That's been their biggest issue. Not their action, but their conversion, what they get. They get damn good action. How do they convert on that action is the million-dollar question. And when you get a Dallas team who, again, Tone, I can't say this enough. When you get a Dallas team who, this Minnesota team, we counter your best attribute with our best attribute. When we do that, and then you turn around and you counter everything that we counter, that throws a monkey wrench in everything we do because we're already struggling offensively. We already have that problem offensively, right? So when you have us on the perimeter where, okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to play drop coverage. We're going to play drop coverage, and we're going to put Rudy in that action. Well, the drop coverage at the three-point line doesn't work. And the reason why it doesn't work is because Rudy's probing Luka's probing 14 to 16 feet away from the basket. Now Rudy's got to make a decision. Is he going to guard the rim, or is he going to come help? Now it's a 2-on-1. If he comes to help, Daniel Gafford is putting his face in the rim and he's dunking the basketball. Okay, so that's not going to work. So we got to push what we have to do is we have to push the pick and pop action, pick and roll action. We got to push that up a little bit higher. So what's next, Tone? How about we try to get the ball out of Luka's hands? How about we blitz Luka? Because I think that's the best. I think that's the best logic. To blitz Luka, get the ball out of his hands. Well, what he's going to do is he's going to hit Lively in the short roll, and Lively's going to fire it to PJ Washington in the corner, or he's going to find Kyrie Irving, and they're going to go to work because we have to give up something because I want to get the ball out of Luka's hands. So if I'm going to live with PJ Washington, I'm going to live with Derrick Jones Jr. making shots. I'm going to have to live with that because we're going to have to give up something if we're going to get the ball out of Luka's hands. That's not worked. Okay, so what's the next thing? Well, Tone, we're a very switch heavy team on the perimeter. Well, Jason Kidd is looking at that going, are you serious that you guys are going to switch on the perimeter? Because what he's doing is he's rubbing his hands together because he's hunting that mismatch where I got to have Kyrie mother effing Irving on Rudy Gobert 24 feet away from the basket. Tone, I'm going to lose my mind. I can't handle it, right? I can't handle it. I'm thinking to myself, why is Rudy Gobert covering Kyrie Irving 24 feet away from the basket? So when the point that I'm making with all of this is when you have all of these things, right? When you have all of these things that we throw at the Dallas Mavericks, and then the last thing we have, which is our zone defense, and when we get to the zone, now we're definitely dead because all Dallas has is zone busters. They got Kyrie Irving, they got Luka, they got PJ Washington, they got Derrick Jones Jr., they got now Maxi Kleber, who's now been back in the lineup. They got nothing but zone busters. So now when you have that, now we're dead in the water because we basically shown you our hand. Okay, Tone, this is what I have. This is what I have. You've countered everything that I've done. Not only have you counted everything that I've done, now I have to score. And that's been one of my biggest problems all year long. I can't score with you. You play with a top 10 pace, and you have the leading scorer in the league on your crew, and you have arguably one of the best one-on-one players in the game. So what does that leave me with, Tone? You're up 3-0. That's what it leaves me with.
Mm-hmm. Not only up 3-0, but you got a rookie who hasn't missed, unless he missed one today, hasn't missed a field goal because they're all wide open alley-oops all series.
He hasn't played.
I think they showed a graphic where they've had 45 alley-oops, and the next closest team has 9. Mm-hmm. 9. I didn't want to interrupt you because you were in the middle of your you were in the middle of talking, and I was gonna. No one's gonna believe me, but I'm telling you, it was 42-39. I'm like, oh, here comes a 3 from Dallas. They're gonna tie it up. Sure enough, 3 from Dallas, and they tied it up. This is okay. Let me ask you one more question on this particular matchup. Is this a Minnesota wasn't ready for the moment? Because they're not young. Let's just be clear. With the exception of Anthony Edwards, who's 22, this is not a young team.
Right.
Or is this was this one of those, because it happens, just a bad matchup game?
It was a bad matchup, Tom, because I feel like everything that they did, most teams don't have a counter for that. They just don't. Denver didn't have a counter for it. Not everything that they did. Not only Denver, Phoenix didn't have a counter for it. And the fact that they were able to counter everything that they did and slow down their offense, which was already slow in the beginning, that kind of threw a monkey wrench in everything that Minnesota was, more than anything, Tone. So with that being said, I feel like we're in a space right now where there's really not much else you can do. When, like I said, I want to get the ball out of Luka's hands.
Of course.
And if Derrick Jones is knocking down threes, I'm okay with that, Tone. He's got to keep doing that. He has to keep knocking them down. I'll live with that. I will.
He has been. That's kind of the problem.
Yeah.
Just so you know, first I'm going to show you this. I know that I threw up the merge, but first I want to show you this because there's a lot of people talking in the chat about Bob McAdoo, kind of like a stretch 4. His jumper was money, and that's 100% true. And the reason, and you're like, well, why would you bring up this comment and then our merchandise at the same time? And here's the reason. One, because we have really cool merch at fluent.printify.me. 2, Bob McAdoo was a guest of the Hoopstorians, which is on Sports Fluent YouTube right after this show. And do you know what Bob McAdoo gave us the okay to do?
Oh, what did he say?
Well, he had a very unique mustache and chops, right? His sideburns. He's allowed us to create a shirt that has his mustache, his very unique mustache and chops on it. We're gonna call it the McAdoo,
Nice.
and sell it. And
Nice.
so look for that this weekend. It'll pop up on fluent.prettify.me. But obviously, you can get Call Your Mother, Fluent Chill merch. All that we got next. We've got Air Goat. I even for you, sir. This one. I just so you know, because I do. I think about you, Jay. I'm not a bad guy. I even created this shirt in honor of you. It is a crown, James, and it says 40K, 11K, 11K.
How about that?
That was just for you. Of course, the one and only, the only goat, Air Goat. This one's actually my favorite. I'm actually, not just creating these. I'm paying my own money for some of these. This one is the Sports Fluent established. That's on the back of a hoodie. I think that one's real nice. What other ones are good? Get your Fluent and Chill hat.
That's dope. I like that.
That was good. That was good. Choice of players, but oh, that's right there. Oh, that one's right there too. It's because because the players choose to come on. Not players' choice. The choice of players. Because, like we said, we have Bob McAdoo, Bob Pettit. Of course, we've had Shaq on a couple of times. We had it's the place to be. Oh, that one's there already. Fluent and Chill. The Hoopstorians. Still like that show. We do ship to Canada. Yes, it's the shipping might not be free, but it's very reasonable. We got next. We got a lot. Oh, this is my favorite. I just want you to know I'm going to have this one. I think I ordered it already. It's take it light, but take it.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm gonna be wearing that one. And then of course your favorite. You have no idea how good Tim Duncan was.
You have no idea, yo.
With a little Timmy D on it, which I think is actually Timmy D, man. We got to do next episode. I'm going to bring up a clip of the Richard Jefferson, Larry O'Brien featuring Tim Duncan. I think Tim Duncan's going to be the co-host of that show every single week.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
It does, right?
It does look like it. And he looks like he's having a good time, too.
I think he's really coming out of his shell. I think we're going to have we ever seen his personality? Because I bet you he's a funnier guy than you think.
Tim seems like that guy that, yo, come on outside. And once you get him outside,
have you ever
I've met him before. I've met him before. He's just one of those, hey, how you doing? But that type of dude. He's not one of those
chill kind of
real chill type of dude. But he also strikes me as the type of dude. Humor. Yes, that's what's the chick's name? Aubrey. Oh man, what is her name? Like Kawhi Leonard. That's the kind of sense of humor he's got. Real dry sense of humor. He's one of them dudes who, once you get him outside and like you start having a good time, it's like, I didn't know you was this much fun. That's the kind of guy that he strikes me as. Like he's the kind of guy where you start hanging around him, you find out that this dude is a lot of fun. He is.
I feel like I would have had. Here's my all NBA underrated dinner like list. I want Tim Duncan. I want Bill Walton.
Definitely want Bill. Definitely want Bill there. The big redhead.
And I'm going to pull someone from the NFL and Bill Belichick. I bet. Oh, and Greg Popovich. I bet you that conversation. Not because I don't want. Listen, there's the easy ones to pick, but I'm saying of the ones that you would never expect. I'm like that's the table I would sit at and be like, you wouldn't believe how hard I'm going to laugh.
By the way, I don't think I told you this, Tone, but where I live in South Florida, I work out down at the. I don't work out in the gym. I work out down at the beach, and I'm working out. And in the process of me working out, the area that I work out in, nobody bothers me. I don't really bother nobody. But This guy is walking past me while I'm working out. He's got a hood on. Tony, it's Coach Belichick.
No way.
100% is Coach Belichick. And I see him coming, towards me, and I'm trying not to. I'm kind of like glancing at him, but I'm thinking to myself, that's Coach Belly. So I didn't go, hey, Coach Belly. It was more like, we say, Coach, and he goes, how you doing? And it was just that simple. I was like, that was Coach. Okay.
That's kind of cool.
Like that.
Yes, it's funny because people are always saying this to me. Like, they're like, oh, you were with this person. Why didn't you, do this and do that? And I'm like, because where we happen to be, it wasn't the time to have that conversation. Like, okay, this is not, but it hit home the point. What I'm going to try to say. This is a non-athlete one though. So my wife and I are in Vegas. We love Vegas. And we were in Hugo Boss. Mm-hmm. And she sees Chef Ramsay.
Mm.
And so she's like, oh, I love Chef Ramsay. Like, we eat at his restaurants, right? She loves watching his shows. Like, I want to say what's up. And I'm like, and I look and I see in his hands are 3 boxes of briefs.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, this man is buying underwear. Now's not the time.
No, it's not.
And I'm like, he's buying underwear. And she's like, you're right. She says, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to the cash, he pays. What happens a second later? Some other lady, oh my God, can I have a picture? Right. And so now it's the underwear is in a bag at this point. But he's like, oh, sure, takes a picture and he goes off on his way. She's like, oh man, see, I should have. So now fast forward.
Mm-hmm.
And my kids love to watch Kitchen Nightmares.
Mm.
Right. And so Fluent Jr., you'll hear him, just ask him, he'll be like, shut it down, right? And I tell them the story about that, and they're like, oh, you should have. And I'm like, you're buying under it. And their kids are like, so what? Go say hi.
No.
No, it's just, there's a time and a place.
For everything. It is. Coach Belly walked by. I just like, what do you say, Coach?
What up, Coach? You need a new assistant?
Nope. No. I'm good. Just, what do you say, Coach? That was it. And he walked by me, and I did say, like, I did say real slick. I said, Atlanta made a mistake, and he smiled.
No, did you? They did make a mistake.
I said Atlanta made a mistake.
Give him the power.
Mm-hmm. So that was that. But yeah, we covered a lot of it. So let's talk to the people, Tone. What do they have to say?
I'm gonna send the link.
Yeah, let's talk to the people.
Maybe Goat James will come up here and
mm-hmm.
I can tell him he doesn't know what he's talking about shot chuckers. Mm-hmm. He said Michael Jordan was a shot chucker.
Mm-hmm. Which he was. Jay was 100% a shot chucker. He just was a good one. That's all.
No, that's insane. Then what's your definition of shot chucker?
A dude who shoots a lot. That's what a shot chucker is.
No, a dude who shoots a lot. So if a guy shoots a lot and hits 100% of his shots, he's a shot chucker?
He's still a shot chucker. So what you shooting?
A shot chucker is someone who takes bad shots.
No, that's not
low percentage.
No, you're just a bad shot taker.
Chucker by definition is a negative.
Just because you shoot a lot, just because you shoot a lot and you score does not necessarily mean that you're not chucking shots. You are still chucking shots. Absolutely, you are. You're just making them. That's all.
Yeah. See, I have a different definition. Shot chucker to me is someone who shoots a lot of ill-advised bad shots and shoots a low percentage.
Well, that's not
because for me, if a guy takes 50 shots but he hits 49 of them, he ain't chucking shots. He's making a shot maker.
He's just making them. That's all.
That's a shot maker. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is there's a negative connotation to shot chucking. And like and I use this example with our guy.
Mm-hmm.
We'll bring him up here in a second, but first we have something else to talk about. So hold on tight there, Johnny. Is that Jim Falks was a shot chucker, even though he only shot 19 a game. He also only hit 30% of them.
That's garbage.
That's the shot chucker.
That is garbage.
The guy who hits 50% of them, not a shot chucker. And okay, do you think there's a line of what number of shot attempts per game is what's the over under?
Oh, absolutely. You have to if you're shooting more than 15 shots, not 15. If you're shooting more than 20 shots.
Why 20? Why not 15? Why'd you adjust it?
Well, because 15 is the line. I feel like 15, you're still in that realm where I could go 8 for 15. I could go 9 for 14. I could go 6 for 15. But when I'm like,
So would you say anyone over 20 is a shot chucker?
Over 20 shots, yeah, you chuck.
So Jim Fox is not a shot chucker then, by your definition.
You said he shot 20 shots.
No, 19.
Well, if he's shooting 20,
no, 19.
If he's shooting 19 shots, especially for that time, I think guys who shoot a lot of shot chuckers.
Okay.
I'm not on the fence about that. You shooting a lot, you're a shot chucker.
I think if you shoot, if someone shoots 8 a game,
yep,
not a shot chucker.
That's 2 a quarter, Tone. Nah, you ain't shooting that much.
But what if you're only paying 12 minutes and you shoot 0%?
Then you're not on the. First of all, you're not gonna be playing.
But wasn't Charles Barkley a 3-point shot chucker? He didn't shoot a lot of them, but he stunk. But he kept shooting them.
Well, he didn't. How many did he shoot, though?
2 a game, 3 a game.
He didn't shoot that many.
I think he's a 3-point shot chucker. Yeah. Okay, let me quickly get to the WNBA thing. So, Caitlin Clark, the reaction to her, fair, unfair. Your guy Shaq says it's unfair. LeBron says it's unfair. Charles Barkley says it's unfair.
I understand that there are some girls, just like you and I talked about this earlier, Tone, about there are some guys that are sitting behind guys going, yo, if I got an opportunity, I'm nice like that too. But Jackie Robinson wasn't the best black baseball player, but he was the right baseball player. Caitlin Clark might not be the best rookie. She's the right one, though. She's the one that's going to she's the one that's going to transcend the sport. She's the one that's going to make the sport more popular. She's the one that you guys need in order for people to start watching more of you, because they're going to have eyes on her. So when they have eyes on her, they're going to have more eyes on you guys. We're going to find out who Sabrina Ionescu is. We're going to find out more about Asia Wilson. We're going to find out more about Jewel Lloyd. We're going to find out more about you guys, more about you ladies, as opposed to we wouldn't really know that much about you if there wasn't somebody in the league that had eyes on them. I always felt like, Tone, when I was in high school, would be a prime example. As you know, I went to my high school basketball team was a pretty good high school basketball team. Yeah. In fact, we were number 2 team in the country. And I knew that the guy that I played with going into my senior year, he was the number 1 player. He was arguably the number 1 player going into his junior year. So all of these coaches, Mike Krzyzewski, Bobby Crimmins from Georgia Tech, Bill Ford from North Carolina, Dean Smith was there.
Yeah, all of these guys there to see him.
Yeah, all of it. And in the process of them seeing him, they're going to see the rest of us too.
Yeah.
So it's not just him. He's the one bringing them here. And with him bringing them here, they're going to see the rest of us and go, well, wait a minute, what's going on with this guy? What's going on with that guy? What's his story? I think the same logic is going on with Caitlin Clark. She's going to get.
I've said this many times, especially being a kid playing high school in Canada in my time before internet and all that stuff. If I didn't go to the University of Kentucky and get in those runs with your guy Roderick and Tony and the top, Anthony Edwards at the time, who was a top recruit, and those guys, I wouldn't have been seen. But because they were there to see those other guys, they're like, "Who's this shooter? Who's this dude knocking down all those threes?"
Yes.
Right? And that's how I got. That's the only reason I got anything was at that time. And so my question is: so when Jordan came out, there's a lot of negative about Jordan. He's a guard. He's not going to he's high flying, blah blah, not going to make it. When LeBron came out, the Cavaliers, right? Darius Miles, Carlos Boozer were all pooping on him. I don't remember. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember those same comments when Bird and Magic were coming into a league that was on the verge of bankruptcy, because they really say, I don't remember. And that's what I find odd, is that this isn't Jordan or LeBron coming into an established thing, right. Jordan to a lesser extent, but into an established thing where they're picking on the player. Mm-hmm. This is Bird and Magic coming in to where, hey, we're not making any money. We're flying commercial. Oh, hey, now we're getting chartered flights. The TV deals coming out in 2025, sold out arenas, bigger stadiums, revenue, which is going to mean more pay. We're all going to see the win here. I feel like she's not getting the LeBron. She's not getting the Magic and Bird treatment. She's getting the LeBron treatment, which I don't. That's the part I don't understand.
And why wouldn't you? With all of these things that are happening, it's not a coincidence that
I'm not saying take it easier on her on the court.
No, we're not doing that. But with that being said, why wouldn't I want that, Tone? With her, it's not a coincidence with her showing up. All of these things are happening. All of these things are happening because she showed up. I told her I told this to my one of my best friends about when Tiger Woods had he was having back problems, and in the process of him having back problems, he was taking some medication, and it was affecting him, where he was getting pulled over for DUIs and stuff like that. I said, like, if I was on the golf circuit, I would make a beeline to Tiger and tell him, you might not know me very well, but this is my phone number. I don't care where you are. I don't care what time of day it is. If you need anything, pick the phone up and call me, and I will make sure that it happens, because the sky is bluer when you're around. The grass is greener when you're around. The money is better when you're around, which means you are necessary. And I feel like the same logic goes on with Caitlin Clark. This stuff that's going on with her, it's necessary. We find out about guys like I can't say this woman's name. She plays for Dallas. Awuma Wale. I think she went to Notre Dame. One of the best scorers in the game. But the fact that Caitlin Clark is in the league, now we get to see more of her. The fact that Caitlin Clark is in the league, we get to see more of Aja Wilson. We get to see more of these women.
I don't know why you're asking not to say a name. I can't say no damn name.
We get to see these women more, and because we get to see these women more, there should be not necessarily gratitude, like thank you very much, but more like, yo, this is dope.
Some respect, and I
don't know if you noticed, but the Indiana Fever played against Connecticut on opening night in Connecticut. That game the amount of tickets they sold in that game were the most tickets they sold all year last year.
There you go.
The whole season.
In one game.
There
you go. James Kingdom.
What up? Peace.
What's good? Fluent, what's good? Chill.
What's up, brother?
Nothing much, man. Y'all boys having a great conversation, man. Caitlin Clark is dealing with the hate that we see coming from ESPN and the mainstream media. They just do a horrible job explaining the game to us and letting us appreciate greatness. They like controversy. They believe it's more about views than actual journalism. So
we've become a toxic culture. We'd rather see people up here arguing and yelling and screaming than actually get.
Tone, you're an idiot. What's going on, Tone? That's not what's going on. You're an idiot.
Oh my God.
What are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's not her fault that she got mainstream America attracted to women's basketball, right?
It's guys, look, as the only white person up here, and I'm not even American, the country is 60% white. Yes, they're gonna gravitate to the person that looks like them. We say this all the time. Do you remember? You remember? Yeah. I did a show with Coach Hugh Jackson. And what did he and I talk about all the time? How the NFL is nuts. 70% of their players are black, and they got like 2 black coaches. And they need to get more black coaches. 1, because they have 70% of the players of a pool to pull from. And 2, they can relate better. They understand what going through that is. Well, it's the same thing here. Like, what is the expectation of her? I don't get.
Well, that's part of it right there, because if you think of it like the NFL coaches are like a family royalty. I believe like 20 coaches are related to each other some way, somehow, or they're related to someone, something like that, right? So they believe
6 degrees of separation. Sure, I can get with that.
They believe she's just garnishing more attention because they want to put somebody there. She's kind of like the white hope. And that's a thing she's just gonna have to live with. But her talent is there, her skills are there. She's gonna survive, and she's gonna show. And like Chilltown said, it's good for the WNBA. It is.
Isn't Sabrina Ionescu? Is she not white? I'm confused. Everybody loves her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what it is with Caitlin Clark though. I guess she has the Stephen Curry effect, the fact that she can shoot very well. I mean, I really don't.
Sabrina was the one lighting it up in the 3-point contest.
In the 3-point contest with Curry. Yeah, she was.
I mean, I agree with you. She's not the first white girl to be basketball, but
who's the GOAT? Do not most people say Breanna Stewart's the GOAT? Is she not white?
I don't understand.
I'm confused. Who's the GOAT?
Yeah, I know more about shot chuckers than women basketball players, to be honest with you.
Let's talk about shot chuckers. Let's talk about shot chuckers. I don't like putting a number. So this is my beef. I don't like putting a number and saying anyone over this number is, and then anyone under this number is not. I like to add more information.
I mean, the number part, I mean, like you said, if you want to lower it to something like 18, you use a common denominator, like you said.
No, I don't want a number at all.
Well, I mean,
all right. So let's take the number out. Kobe was a shot chucker, Tom. Yes, he was.
Yeah, Kobe was a shot chucker, absolutely. Okay. As was Allen Iverson. Now, some of them are system created shot chuckers because they needed to, because that's what their team asked for them to do. But yes, I will agree. And Kobe's my second favorite player all time. I can admit when you're shooting 40-something%, drop 35 field goals, like again combined, shooting over triple teams. Yes, that is 100. But you know what? What's his name? Wesley Pearson. Person. Shot chucker. There's shot chuckers, but when you put a number and just say, and this was my thing with you guys, was when you put a number, say anyone over 20, and LeBron's at 19.6 and 20.5 in the playoffs. Does anyone think LeBron's a shot chucker?
You still shoot a lot.
Is he a shot chucker?
James Harden was a shot chucker. Yes, he was.
James Harden. No, I said LeBron James.
James too. Yes, they all are.
But you avoided the fact that we put career-wise. We put career-wise. It was also career-wise. So it was based on your career. Because someone like an Antoine Walker, we consider the shot chucker correct, right, Tony?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but the thing is,
they shot a low percentage when they did it.
This would be the real question. Is being a shot chucker really negative? Why do you guys take it as a negative?
Because people use it with a negative connotation. So if you say someone's a quitter, by definition, quitter is a negative. Shot chucker is a negative, right? Someone is notorious, as a notorious shot chucker. That has a negative connotation. So if you're using it in the negative, it's a negative. If you're saying anyone, like Chill is saying anyone who shoots a bunch of shots is a shot chucker. Okay, well, that's not a negative because he's saying it in the sense that it's not negative. However, if you go poll 100 people and ask them, is shot chucker positive or negative? 90 are telling you it's negative. And that's why I say, if you're going to say something negative, you can't just put a baseline of 20 is the number and anyone over that is bad and anyone under it is good. And that's why I use the example of
Why you ask me, Tone, about 20 shots? Why you put that out there?
I was setting you up. That's
what it sounded like. It sounded like you were setting me up.
That's the number we threw out there on him. That's right.
They threw the number of 20, and I said, so LeBron James in the playoffs, who averages more than 20 a game, is a shot chucker. He even
you got a shot to win. You got
for his career. Hold on, I'm going to call you out a little bit here for a second. For his career, LeBron shoots more than Kobe. Right. We all agree Kobe's a shot chucker, but LeBron is not. And so he said, well, when we look at Kobe, we look at his prime years. So I said, okay, so LeBron's first 10 years, he shot over 20. Is he a shot chucker? In the playoffs, he shoots over 20. For his career, is he a shot chucker? I say no, because I don't want to use just a number, because he's at 49.7% in the playoffs. That's not a shot chucker. You should be shooting that much.
When you're shooting, not necessarily shooting, let me rephrase that. When you score in 28, 29, 30 a game in the playoffs, you're not doing that on 16 shots. That's not happening.
Not happening.
You're getting up shots. You are chucking shots. That happens. So I don't look at it in a bad way. Now, if you're just shooting the ball just to shoot it, like how James Harden was doing, that's something different.
Listen,
but that was the conversation. Because
Jim Fox, as the example, Jim Fox shoots 19.1 a game, but dude shot 30%. He should stop shooting.
Stop shooting. Yo.
but everybody back then, the average shooting at that time was about 35%. The whole league shot horrible, so you can't really do that to him.
Right, but they shoot 19 a game.
No, but that's the conversation, right? Because just like Chilltown just said, if you're averaging 28, 29, 30 points per game, more than likely you're taking 20 shots per game. So when Jordan fans love to throw out the 30-point per game average or the 33-point per game average in the playoffs, they forget to realize, yes, but Jordan is also taking the 23 shots, the 25 shots to do that.
Which is very efficient.
Huh?
Which is very efficient.
Well, no, nobody's talking about whether you're efficient or not. It's just the simple fact that you're just sitting there. You're making it assume that he's doing this because no one else can. No, it's the fact that no one else really shot as much as Michael Jordan. Because anyone who shoots more than 49% could do the same thing. You see what I'm saying? And that out about Charles Barkley. He said that back in the 90s. He said, Charles Barkley was shooting 59%, 58% in the early 90s, late 80s, taking 16 shots per game, averaging 28, 27 points per game. But if he was taking the 22 or the 20 shots Jordan would, what would be his average? You see what I'm saying? So that was the conversation, at least back in those times. So it still falls in line to today. Again, yes, Jordan is a very great scorer. He's a very efficient scorer, but it still doesn't absolve the fact that he took a lot of shots to average the points that he did.
But he took a lot of shots because he was averaging such a high percentage taking those shots, and the other people weren't. That is important. Not everybody can shoot 20 a game at 50%, right? Like if you look at who's scored the most, I think 40-point games shooting over 50%, it's Jordan, and it's not even close. Not even close. So that's why I say, again, if you're using shot chucker as a negative, or saying the only reason this person averaged so many points is because they took more shots, well, in that case, would you say Magic Johnson is better than LeBron because Magic has more rebounds, way more assists, and if he shot the same amount of attempts as LeBron, he would have averaged more points?
Well, of course, yeah. That his efficiency states that Magic Johnson shot over 50%.
No, it's not true, because if they shot more, you don't know for a fact.
No, but that's weird. That coming from, again, I'm not going to say that, but coming from Jordan fans, we hear that if Jordan took more 3-pointers, his 3-point percentage would be better.
No. What you hear, hold on. What you hear from Jordan's fan is when he took more 3-point shots, his percentage went up. That's a fact. That's not if. That's a fact.
No, yeah, but that doesn't mean if Jordan shot more that he would also shoot better. That's the whole. They use that as a catalyst to say that he would shoot better if he shot more, which is false. You would agree, the more you shoot, more likely you're going to be less efficient.
Yours is based on hypothetical opinion.
No, you just said the same thing about that right now, Tone. You just said, listen, the more you shoot, you just said that about Magic. I told you Magic shoots.
I used your logic against you. What I said was, you could, if you're saying this, then you could say that. They're both wrong. What I'm saying is the people who say Jordan, if he shot more threes, would be better, are basing that on the fact that when he did shoot more threes, his percentage went up. So they're basing it on some fact to say that, yeah, but if he shot 10, anything that you say, if he shot 10, he would go down. Well, you don't know. What we're saying is this is what we do know. That's the difference.
No, but what I'm saying is that if Magic's average is 50-something%, which I believe is like 51, 52% for his career, then we can say if he took 19 shots, he's still going to shoot around 50%. The same way you feel like if Jordan was taking 3-pointers per game, that he would average what he was averaging when he was doing that. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Like, these things about Michael Jordan are just myths and narratives that really don't fit true logic when we talk basketball. So, the idea that Jordan was a great scorer is fine, but we have to understand that when you're taking 23 shots per game, any player who averages 50% or better can do what Michael Jordan did. Jordan was not unique or anything extraordinary. He just was good enough for his era.
He's very unique in the sense that anyone could take that many shots and they don't, and they didn't. He's the only one who did it, and that's what makes it unique.
Well, yes. Yeah, he was chasing scoring time.
So I'm bringing the other people up.
Okay, yeah, you can bring them up.
The idea that if Magic was taking more shots, he would. Well, we don't know that.
No, we don't. And that was what I was saying is, if you're using that logic, then I could say that I'm using the same logic to say it's wrong. Then I could say, well, Magic did everything else better. So if he took more shots, then he'd average more points too. Oh, then he's better than LeBron.
But we do know that when Jordan took more shots from the long ball line, his percentage went up. We know that.
We know that. That's a fact.
If Magic, even though Magic shot, let's say Magic shot 49, I think Magic shot like 52% for his career. Okay? I think he shot something like 52% for his career. And I think Magic only shot like 15 shots a game, something like that.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, 15 or 16.
Yeah. If he shot 19 or 20 shots, well, that means that he's getting 4 or 5 of the same shots, or is he getting 4 or 5 different shots? And does that mean that his score does that mean that his percentage is going to go down, or does that mean it's going to go up? We don't know what that.
You don't know, because if they're dunks, the percentage goes up. If they're if they're threes, the percentage goes down.
That part. But what I don't want to say is that what Jordan wasn't doing was extraordinary, because it was 100% extraordinary off the strength that him as a 2-guard. Not just him as a 2-guard, him playing in the era that he played in, his game would translate. Even if he took that many shots playing in today's game, even if he took that many shots playing
I personally think he would
before
attack
that.
more today.
So
Like,
I don't think that we're talking about a guy who he was just good for his time. No, because what you're doing is you're diminishing his greatness when you say he was good for his time. He would be awesome today too.
I personally think he would attack more today.
Jordan would disagree, but
I personally think he would attack more today, with a lot of the spacing that's being used in today's league. If he was living 15 feet in back then when it was cluttered, when you had power forwards and centers basically cluttering the lane and your guards was mainly shooters. I think the whole shot chucker term, it really got appointed to a lot of guards that shot it a lot. The first time I heard it was when it was associated with Allen Iverson.
And did you hear it in a good or a bad way?
I heard it in a bad way, but I heard Larry Brown, who was the coach of that Sixers team during AI's prime years. I heard him basically use that, basically somewhat systematically, like y'all was talking about. They was basically like, yo, a lot of the times when he put up 30 plus shots, that's what we want because we had a better chance of winning the game. And he said that. That
was their philosophy, right? You shoot it.
Yeah.
We've got Theo Ratliff and Mutombo.
Yeah, we got everybody else to play defense, and he shoot the ball. And back then, Allen Iverson, 6 foot nothing, 160 pounds, playing 40-something minutes a game, taking all of those shots, and only 4 times in his career he played with 4 guys that averaged 20 or more points. So my thing is when you take a career like that.
One thing to Jay, have you ever heard anyone say, Klay Thompson out here chucking up shots in a good way? Have you ever heard someone say? Have you ever heard a coach? They'll say, "Oh man, Tone is out there just chucking up shots, like not just chucking up shots." Have you ever heard that in a good way?
No.
So that's why I say it's always considered a negative because it's
but I think it's only associated with guards. I think it's
it's not. No, it is
because
not.
they call Dominique Wilkins. Dominique
Moses Malone was a shot chucker.
Was Moses Malone labeled? Wait. Was Moses Malone labeled that by the media?
They called it. You know what they call? They call black holes. That's what they called.
Yes.
Okay. I'm only asking because I wasn't around during that time. That's
George Mikan, all those guys were considered chuckers because they took a lot of shots per game. They were high volume shooters.
I just never liked that term because I felt like if they were quote unquote shot chuckers, it had to be for a reason. Like I mentioned the Iverson reason, and a lot of people brought up the Jordan reason, which I was bringing up, and the Kobe reason, bro. At least without Shaq, I thought it was more systematic than anything. That's what I think. That was my opinion on it. I thought it was more systematic than anything.
The triangle offense does create the necessity, unfortunately, for shot chuckers, because the way that the triangle is run, right, with the read and react, and you're trying to get people a good shot, and then what happens is at the end of the shot clock, when it's 3-4 seconds left and there's no good shot, it's okay, give it to Kobe, give it to Jordan, shoot, do something. Well, you've left me 3 seconds left. What am I supposed to do? To your point, Allen Iverson, that was the system. Shoot as many as you can. Heck, I remember one, granted it was an all-star summer league that I played in. It was like we were running a 1-4. Whoever had the ball is like, dude, we're all just going to screen and get up as many shots as you can.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know I played on a couple of teams, bro, in my youth, and it was like, because I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't playing no defense. I was shooting a whole bunch of shots.
Right, Jay?
I was shooting a whole bunch of shots. I wasn't playing no defense I'm not gonna lie. Listen. Chilltown when he would not have liked me on the court, bro. I'm
Get off the pill. Get off the pill.
No. Here's the thing. I would pass the ball. Like anything on offense to do, I do. But defensively, don't leave me on the island because I'm trying to play defense. I'm just not good at it.
Me and Jay would have got along really well because Jay, although a guard, was a post-up type of guard, and he would back you down. And I play even to this day with a guy like that. And what I do is I put it into him as often as I can, and what he'll do is either he'll make his move and post up and do what he does, or if they collapse on him, he kicks out and he's telling me to shoot.
Yes.
So
I put it to you this way: if I play with Chilltown would have to guard my matchup if I was on a guard, and I'd have to guard whoever wasn't shooting the basketball. I'm like, all right, chill. Like, you need to guard. Like, yo, I'm gonna give you the ball, bro, off the pick and rolls. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna pass that. Like,
we're way over time.
But I
so
need to shoot the most shots, bro, when it's all said and done.
Ibranca, quickly.
Yeah.
I know we're way over time. You're talking about what we're talking about, or something totally different?
Oh yeah, sorry. I just wanted to ask a question because Chill did say something about how both the Eastern Conference and Western Conference, the West in history. I would like to disagree with the Western Conference. I can agree with Eastern Conference. Everyone's injured. Knicks were knocked out. It's unfortunate, but I feel like Western Conference. It was actually really interesting to watch. You have two first team seeds, probably two top three defense teams being probably knocked out, like Minnesota's about to right now.
Right.
Do
So
you
think?
Did you say the West was injured?
No, East.
The East. Okay.
No, sorry. No, I was just saying that, but I would like to say, like, why do you think the West is it's not a good Western?
I didn't say it wasn't good. No, I did not say that.
No, the East was definitely injured. It broke down like a 93 car on the freeway, bro. Yeah. Like we saw it.
I said the East and Western Conference Finals have been the worst ever. That was
I can agree. I thought you said West as well, but
no, I didn't.
I disagree with the West. But the Eastern Conference broke down like a 93 Honda on the freeway.
I can agree with that. But then I guess my question to replace that would be, I know it's a bit too early to talk about it, but who do you think Sixers should pick up during the trade? People are saying Paul George, but I don't think he's the one.
Oh, this offseason? Sixers?
Yeah. I know it's a bit too early, but
you take it, Jay, and then I'll tell you mine because mine's crazy.
Mine isn't crazy. I think y'all should start over. I think you should move on from Embiid.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Embiid, Miles are
failed.
Fine. Maybe to Warriors. I don't know where to, but
I think you should move on from Embiid. I think everything you got out of him, that was it. You probably got two, maybe 3 more years tops of him at this level, and I think that's it.
You don't think someone like Paul George could save him?
I would agree with that, Chilltown. I think a lot of the injuries have played too much of a role in the way that he's broken down year after year after year.
I don't think he's broken down. I think Mars put this in a really good way, and I kind of opened my eyes. It's more of the fact that most of his injuries were from other people.
If you're listening to Mars in his mom's attic, you're already in trouble, my friend.
No. It's mostly because I actually looked into it. The double orbital injuries, one of them, collision with players, which is fair. Then the stomach virus, which I don't know how you can really avoid that.
Listen, when he caught the BGs, I already knew it was over when he caught the BGs, bro. When Kawhi was giving him 40, I already knew.
What team would want Embiid services?
Probably Warriors, because they really need a desperate centers. So
all of them.
Yeah. Why would you want to take a MVP?
As far as say no to a league MVP that got 2 or 3 more elite seasons. You're fired as a GM. You're fired.
Embiid can give you 3 to 4.
As a Laker fan, I'll send you AD right now for Embiid. As far as the Sixers go, the rest of the people are saying
we do not care.
But the WNBA is great, man. I will say that. Listen, Caitlin Clark is bringing in her fan base, a lot of people that's relatable to her, and Angel Reese is bringing in a lot of people that's relatable to her as well. This draft class is
the Bird and Magic. They're going to save this league.
Yeah, of course. I said that. And the thing is, and I think the WNBA would be silly not to set it up that way. I think they would be silly not to capitalize on this. We talking about this young lady done upped everything 2,000% in 5 games.
Do you know when
she only won one?
You know when they say it's not personal? Just look at what happened today. There was a girl shooting her free throws. She makes her first one. She completely forgets that she has a second one, and she runs at Caitlin Clark, chirping at her. Like
Caitlin Clark went for 30 today too. But guys, we are way over time.
Oh, my bad. I'm gonna get going, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
we are way over time.
Appreciate everybody. Appreciate everybody. I'm not
Yeah.
being rude, but we are. I didn't even see that.
Yes, we are.
You got me into a shot chucker conversation, and I lost my mind.
It happens. So it happens.
Whew. No, you got to go to bed.
Guys. No, we this was awesome. As you guys know where to find us. Tuesday nights. This is where we are. Me and Tone. We'll be here for as long as y'all want us here. We'll definitely be doing it for as long as we like, for as long as we can. Playoffs are going on. We will see you guys soon. But until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey man, call your mother. When last time you talked to your mother? Call your mother. We will see you guys soon. But until then, take it light. Take it. Absolutely.